Hi everyone, and welcome to a very special success story. Today we have Dr. Eyad, who I recently helped get the IELTS score that he needed. And it's quite special because we actually invited him over to our office, over to our school, and I worked for the whole day one-on-one with Dr. Eyad recently. And after that, he went and did his test a week later and successfully got the scores that he needed. So we did a lot of work with him on that day, and he has thankfully decided to share some of that knowledge with you guys, because many of you might be having the same struggles as he did, and he's going to give you some advice to help you out. So, Dr. Eyad, I keep messing up the pronunciation of your name. I really apologize.
That's fine.
If I did that again. But can you share just a little bit about you first?
Okay, my name is Eyad, and I'm a dentist. I'm originally from Syria, and I started working on IELTS in 2017. My aim was to get registered with the UK General Dental Council, and they request a minimum score of 7, overall 7, and 6.5 to every part of the IELTS. So I would say I worked not continuously on an IELTS because I have a lot of things to do beside IELTS. I've set the first exam, and so I didn't have, for example, a 6-month period to work on IELTS. So this was one of my mistakes because I realized later that allocating a specific time for IELTS is very important to keep you focusing on things that you need to improve. So later on, after I joined the VIP course, still I don't have time to make IELTS preparation for 6 months, but I decided to keep a specific time every week to work on things that I need to improve. And one of the most difficult problems I faced was writing, academic writing. The other 3 parts was easy to improve, especially after I go through the 2 ebooks provided by the VIP course. Reading and listening was easier to improve. But speaking a little bit difficult. The most difficult was writing. And I have a lot of mistakes in the first time I sat for the IELTS. So my main aim was to improve the writing. Mm-hmm. It was difficult. Before joining the VIP, to be honest, I joined 2 schools, the conventional schools, one in Leeds and the other in Liverpool. And I've spent a lot of money, but still, the whole course was just general. I needed to be focused more on writing, and this kind of courses wasn't helpful as I expected. So I searched for another specific courses for writing, and fortunately I found your course, Chris, and it was very helpful. And I did have a mistake also at the beginning of joining the course, which was I thought about the course as a way to not doing the hard work, meaning that if I joined the course, then I don't have to improve my general English. This was a big mistake at the beginning. Then after the first time I sit for the exam, after I joined the VIP course, I also get 6 in writing. So I thought what was the problem? I just joined this course and I've done everything. I've go through the whole videos. I've done all the recommendation strategies, but still I get 6. So I find that I have a lot of mistakes regarding spelling and some grammatical issues. So I improved that. I think, as far as I remember, I said the first test was in December 2017, after I finished 1 month of a preparation course. And then I've got 6, as I mentioned. After I joined the course, then I left everything because I had to prepare for my first exam for dentistry to requalify in the UK. And this was for 8 months, so I haven't practiced any writing or anything related to IELTS in this time. I've set the LDS exam on the April 2019, and then after that, I decided that I will go back to the IELTS because I wouldn't be able to sit for the Part 2 exam unless I have IELTS of 7, overall 7, and 6.5 for every part. So I started on May 2019. And I've set the test on August. Still, I've got 6 in writing. Although I worked on the grammar, I worked on vocabulary, I worked on everything, but based on your corrections, as far as I remember, it was on September 2019. After I've set the test, I've submit some corrections, and you told me that I have problem in developing the ideas and giving examples. So I thought that was the problem, because I've put everything in place. I've improved my grammar, my vocabulary, but still I have this problem. So I start working on it, try to improve the developing of my ideas. But I don't know if this is a general problem, but I always go off the main idea, meaning that I can add another idea to the explanation, an idea that partially related to the topic, but it's not 100% related to the idea that I'm putting on the topic sentence. So this was a problem, and unfortunately, I couldn't go over this problem until I have the session with you before my last attempt. I think this is normal sometimes. Even if you think that you done well, you try to improve your way of developing the idea. Getting a feedback from someone who has a good experience in teaching, like yourself, it's very crucial. I find it that, and I learned it in the hard way, unfortunately. So after the session with you, I tried to be as strict as possible to develop the idea, which is related to my topic sentence for every paragraph, and the main topic in the question. So I learned a very good thing from that session, which is explanation in more simple way, because I used to develop the idea in a difficult way, but after I sit with you, you say that every sentence you write, make sure that you are answering the question of why, and why is that. So in a simple way, so meaning that just explain everything as if you were explaining things for someone who's 4 or 5 years old, who know nothing about the topic. And this was effective, because in the exam, in the real test, I just used this technique, and I think it was helpful because I moved from 6 to 6.5 in a very short time, and I think based on the latest test, I think it was a very crucial thing to improve in order to get the 6.5 in writing. I mean, of course, my aim was 6.5. It's not very hard to get it, but I don't have a very good experience in academic writing or descriptive writing. So this was, a changing in my way to approach the question, and this was helpful for me.
Absolutely. I think the main thing that I can learn from your story, and if anyone watching this video, is just because you join a course or you watch some videos or you look at a textbook, that doesn't mean that you are doing the same thing or doing the thing that is in the video or the textbook effectively. Because you watched our course and then you went and did the test and didn't get the score that you needed. But when I looked at your writing, multiple spelling mistakes, multiple grammar mistakes, the explanation wasn't logical, it wasn't linked to the actual topic sentence, the examples sometimes weren't effective. So it is really, really important to get someone to look at your work and tell you, are you doing the things correctly? Because it's all part of a system. Let's say you're learning how to write a main body paragraph. Watch a video on that. That's great. But that's just the first step.
Yeah.
The second step is then to do it, but that's just the second step. The third step is then to get feedback on it, but that's just the third step. The third step is to learn from that feedback and then to do it again and then do that effectively. And if you follow those 4 steps, then you're going to see real progress, which you did in less than 24 hours when we spent that time together. You saw a massive improvement, and it was because you were following that system. And just spending 24 hours doing that is way more effective than spending 24 years. Just watch. You could watch every IELTS video in the world and read every book in the world. But if you're not doing it, not getting feedback on it, not learning from the feedback, it is a complete and utter waste of time.
I mean, it depends on, some people can get the idea of improving without working hard. But for me, I was improving slowly. My way of learning is very slow. So having something on like hands-on, it's much better for me to improve and learn by practicing.
You're a dentist. I could go onto Amazon now and order the 20 books on dentry. Would you let me go anywhere near?
No. You are absolutely right. It might be my profession, which needs something practical to work hands-on. It just keep me my mindset the same as my experience. I need something to do in my hand in order to keep it in my mind and do it the next time I sit for the test. So I think it depends on everyone's mindset. So some people can see these videos and just go right away practicing what they have learned. But for people like me, you need to go under hands-on or practicing experience, so you can improve in an effective way.
Because we live in a world now where you can get as much information as you want. You can get information on how to build a nuclear submarine if you wanted to, but it doesn't mean that you could actually go and build one. What is important these days is not so much the information, it is the practicality of it. It is
Exactly.
doing it. It is
How to do it. Yeah.
how to do it actually,
Yes.
with your hands, how to act, and then learn whether you're doing it correctly, and then learn from those mistakes and how to do it. I think that is
Exactly.
far more important, especially these days where there's all the information you need.
Yeah. And
Most
most
books
of them is not reliable information.
well, that's another problem,
Based,
but I'm trying to
based,
keep it as positive as possible. But yeah, so if you
yeah.
get the wrong information,
I mean the information related to IELTS. I've seen a lot of websites. I've seen a lot of videos, but to be honest, I've tried to just put things together and make a logic, uh, build up to write an essay according to what I've seen in the websites, but it doesn't go in a right way, meaning that I saw a lot of teachers, for example, saying that it's something very wrong to put, for example, an overview for the task one.
even though it says it in the mark
Yes, it's very
criteria.
important. Yeah, and I've seen someone who say that you need to put a conclusion on the task one. I mean, a lot of information are not reliable. Um, I don't know why. Even in a traditional school, I've been in two schools. They are just focusing on something even not related to the Cambridge criteria.
Yeah.
For example, I don't want to name any school,
No,
but there
please
is
don't.
there is a famous school where I live now, and I've joined them, and they don't even practice the official materials or teaching the official materials. They just bought a book for someone who's very famous in English writing or IELTS preparation courses. And when I asked them why don't you use the official materials of Cambridge, they told us we find this book is more effective. I don't know how they find this book
You probably
effective.
have a deal with the publishers.
Yeah, exactly. So having this kind of courses, absolutely wasting of your time, wasting money, and of course this will affect your overall, you know, situation,
Yeah.
even psychologically. You will get into depression and to be honest with you, sometime I felt that okay, that's it. I can't go over this problem because I don't know how to do the things that the examiner wants me to do or write on the essay. So for me it was a bit difficult. I believe that a lot of people wouldn't feel this way because they have a good experience in English. But for me, I just started to learn English in 2017 as a professional improving in English was 2017, and I studied my qualification in Arabic. So there is no any real life English training in my life. So for me, it was very difficult to get this score. But for a lot of people, wouldn't matter.
I mean, for anyone in your position, there are lots of IELTS courses out there, both online and offline. The advice that I would give to people is don't be afraid to ask them for proof that it does work, because you're going to save yourself a huge amount of time and a huge amount of money by saying, can you provide proof in the form of client testimonials, success stories, and things like that. And if they are successful, they will have a huge number of thank you emails and thank you notes from
Yeah.
students, because students are very grateful when you help them. But if
Yes.
the school is defensive about that, or like, no, we don't show people that, then
You should
run very
feel
quickly, because
something wrong.
there's something very, very wrong.
Yeah.
And that would be the best way to establish what is actually going on.
Yeah.
And also, you went to a school where you needed help just with writing, and
Yes.
you didn't need help with speaking or listening or reading.
Yeah.
another piece of advice that I would give is, before you pay your money, find out exactly what they are going to
Yeah.
teach you,
This is
what they
very,
are going to teach you in each
yeah,
class, in each module. Because again, good schools don't mind giving you that information and spending
yeah.
time with you. And if they tell you, you know, yeah, we're going to be teaching
This is a very
three-quarters
good
of the
thing.
time stuff you don't need, then say,
Yeah,
thank you very much, thank you for giving me that information, and then go down the street to another place
yeah,
and find out from them. But
yeah,
again, if the school is defensive and they're like, oh, your teacher will tell you on the first day, that's not a good sign.
yeah.
No,
This is very interesting thing, because I know that a lot of people don't know that. But as a student, um, I mean, many students will feel the same way. We don't know everything about IELTS. We know nothing about IELTS, or how to improve, or how to write, how to answer the questions in the uh, uh, test. So as a student who want to improve the English and sit for the IELTS, I've started with zero knowledge about the IELTS. So I would go to any websites or any teacher who's speaking about IELTS, and I can't judge. I can't recognize whether he was right or wrong. And this took me a long time to
mm-hmm.
realize that a huge amount of the information available about IELTS is just rubbish.
Yep.
Sorry about that. It's nothing related to the real work you need to do in order to improve the English.
It'll save you a lot of time spending a few hours just researching different options and
Yeah.
really try and find those success stories, those testimonials. But also, big red flags, warning signs are when people are telling you that it will be easy, that there are shortcuts, that there are hacks, that there are tips, that their strategies are magic, or their strategies are like the only way to pass the IELTS test. Real teachers don't speak that way. Really good teachers don't say things like that, because it's just marketing, and it's not even good marketing. It's nonsense, you know. So be careful, you know. Look for success stories and be careful about what they tell you. If they say we guarantee you a high score, or we have the best teachers in the world, how do you know you have the best teachers in the world? You know, it's
no
like, imagine going to a
system or
hospital
something.
and they say we have the best dentists in the world. Well, how do you know? Did you test
Yeah,
them all, or did you rank them all?
exactly.
So just be careful with stuff like that. Really good teachers are humble. You know, they'll not say we're the best in the world or anything, but they will be able to show you these are thousands of people that we've helped in the past, and let their students talk for them, which is much better, I think.
Yeah.
And you've met all of our team, and you've met the
Yes.
people who we work with and everything. And
You have a wonderful team, and thank you so much for you, Justin, all the girls working in the office. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your help. And, you know, it's a changing, of course, now. I overcome the IELTS. So thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Really.
You're welcome. You're very, very welcome. And do you have anything that you want to give, any advice that you want to give to students last minute? Imagine giving advice to you 6 months ago. What advice would you give you 6 months ago?
Well, the first thing I would say that it's very important to focus on the time. So don't waste time in exploring things that you are not 100% sure about. And you know, about the expensive, because I know most of the students are when they first or when they saw an expensive course, the first thing will pop up to their minds is the cost. So I would say I would be honest and say that in the two courses I've had in 1 year, I just spent more than £2,500.
Jesus.
So yeah.
Pardon
Yeah.
for anyone who's religious. Sorry. That is shocking.
Yeah.
It's shocking.
Yes. So and it was not helpful. So you can imagine how I felt when I spent this amount of money and I haven't got the score I want. So for me, it was impossible because I don't know. I don't have the right course of action to do in order to get the score I want. So for students, please focus on how you can get the score. Um, of course, the expenses is very important, but you need to think about it on long term, meaning that if you refrain from paying a good amount of money for a good course that you feel that give you the things you need to improve your English, then obviously you will suffer, you will waste a long time, and of course money in order to get the course you want. So based on my experience, I'm not doing anything related to marketing or anything.
No, I told
Just
you not to
based,
say anything already at the start of the video. Oh my God.
based on my experience, I find that this course is really related, cutting the cheese into the things that important to you, things that you need to follow as a strategy to improve your English, how to answer the questions. It's not a course to improve your general English. It's a course to let you know how to answer the questions in the IELTS, which is a crucial thing for people who have a good English, but they can't know how to answer the questions in the exam. And you have very good course in the writing course, very excellent course. Reading and listening, it's a comprehensive books, very effective, and I found them very easy to understand and to improve. Of course, you need to learn these strategies and then go to practice and authentic materials to practice. I have bought all the Cambridge books from 6 to 14 now. I know it's a lot of money, but exactly.
I was looking at them
really.
today.
I bought all of them, and but I found it very helpful because I knew that these materials will be in the exam, so I'm not worried about how
There's a lot of
authentic they are.
fake materials
Yes.
online, so be
Yeah.
careful about using those, because they're very,
Exactly.
very misleading, especially for listening and reading. There's a huge, if it's not made by Cambridge or the British Council or IDP, it's not real. So don't use them.
Exactly. Well, this is the things that I can't think about now. So, of course, there's a lot of mistakes I've done. If I go now to do the test again, I wouldn't make them. So be careful. Try to be, focused on the things that you need to improve and how to get the proper information to improve without or with the least amount of time and money to spend.
Yeah, I'd say I'd summarize that by find the right course or the right teacher. That could be a free course, that could be a paid one, but find the right one, because if you make a mistake there, it could put you back years, months at least. And then once you find the right teacher or the right course, focus on the things that really matter. In your case, that was spelling, that was grammar, that was idea development, that was explanations, exactly. That was examples, yes. But ignore everything else and just focus. The example I always use is for dentists. You don't go to the dentist with one sore tooth and ask them to remove all your teeth. You get them to fix the problem, which is normally one tooth. Not sometimes, if you're unlucky, it's more than that. But you know, if I had one small problem with my molar, you wouldn't go and treat my front teeth. You would just say, okay, we need to fix that one problem. You know, don't worry about anything other than the reasons why you are not getting the score that you need. For you, it was 4 things and 4 things only. And then we focused on those things. And within 24 hours, we were able to get you up half a band, which is shows how important it is to just focus. That's the key for you. It's just keep things very simple by focusing on your weak areas. And if you do that, you're going to see a huge improvement. And that would be the best advice I can give anybody. So, Dr. Eyad, thank you so much. I'm sure we'll keep in touch,
You are most welcome. Thank you so much.
and
And again,
hope to see
thanks
you
to your
again one
team.
day in real life again, when all
Yeah,
this coronavirus thing is over and we all get
yeah,
haircuts and
hopefully.
we all can leave the house.
Thank you so much for your time and help,
You're welcome. You're welcome, and
Chris.
congratulations again. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, Chris here again. Hopefully you enjoyed that success story video. That student was part of our IELTS VIP course. And on that course, we show students exactly where they're going wrong and exactly what to do to get the score that they need. And we give them all the help and support that they need in order to get a 7, 8, or even 9 in their IELTS test. Now, we only work with a really small number of students. Because of the level of help and feedback and support that we give students, we can only work with a very small number of them. But we also have more success stories than any other online or offline course in the world, which has created a huge amount of demand for our course. So we're the only course in the world, I believe, that has a very long waiting list. If you want to join that waiting list, all you have to do is just click here and you'll be able to add your name, add your email address, and then when one of our students becomes successful and leaves the course, the next position can be for you. Hopefully see you in there. Bye-bye.